Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Eerie International, episode 468 this week. I am David from the United States.
I'm Andi from Germany.
And I'm Dave from the UK.
I was positive I was going to fuck up that intro and I didn't. So hats off to me. Pat myself on the back.
You had 2 weeks to practice.
I know. Anytime, even if I'm off for 1 week, dude, I could record in a different room and not skip a week and it would throw me off. There's something about the consistency that I need, I guess. So maybe I just had enough of my coffee before we started and it zeroed me in. Yeah, we're back reunited. We were just talking. We've been talking for the past half hour before we started recording. So now we all have to pretend that that's not been going on. Welcome to the podcast. If you've never listened to the show, we are a horror podcast that talks about horror stuff. Whether it's movies, TV shows, comic books, stage shows, audio, dramas, all kinds of media, whatever. This week we're talking about the film VHS Halloween, the newest found footage anthology horror film in the VHS series. I believe it is the 8th installment in the series, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on. If this is your first time listening, welcome. You can find us on social media. I think I've welcomed you twice, so you better feel very welcome. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Look us up, subscribe, all that jazz. Dave's been putting our episodes on YouTube, so you can go do that now as well. Dave, what's the name of the channel? Is it just Eerie International?
Yeah, if people search for Eerie International, they should recognize the logo. I think cool. I still need to change the actual URL because it wouldn't change. So we're like Eerie International 78 or something, which is weird because there aren't 77 other Eerie Internationals. But that will be changed soon. But yeah, if you just search Eerie International, it should come up. It's fairly recognizable which episodes are ours because our big monstrous mugs are on the left-hand side with whatever film we are on the right of the image.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, you've been nailing it with those thumbnails. And if you see a bunch of videos about airports when you Google it, you spelled Eerie wrong.
That may not be
Google
us.
It when you search on YouTube. Yeah, add an extra E there, and you'll get what you're looking for. Just knocked over my oatmeal almost. What else? You can contact us if you'd like via email. We have a Gmail account, eerieinternational@gmail.com. We have an email this week, in fact, right? Or did you guys read this already? There's one for me to read, right?
I believe we have one this week, yeah.
I looked, it said 8 days ago, and I was like, shit, did they already read this? Because I haven't listened to the episodes that I missed. So, okay, I'll jump into it. Hello, Eerie International. This is a smart otaku, and I'm here to say hello and see how everyone is doing. Refer to the attached picture to see how I've been. I know this isn't the most...
that one we've read. Sorry to interrupt you, but that one we have read. There was a follow-up to that one after the last recording.
You know what? I'm in too deep now. I'm going to make listeners listen to this entire email a second time in a row, so I'm just kidding.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, so there's proof. The email address works. Sorry about that. Yeah, let us know if you have some longer form thoughts. Send it there and we'll read it. Okay, so am I forgetting anything else about the intro stuff, or can we dive into what we've watched?
So I think there is a follow-up email. It may be part of the chain that you were...
That one I specifically wasn't, I didn't, because he had said, your choice if you want to read this, and he kind of explained some stuff for us, like, internally. So I wasn't going to read that one.
I need to check that personally then. Okay, yep.
Yeah. No, it wasn't anything serious, but it was, yeah, like, we definitely got that email. Dave hasn't read it. He just outed himself, otaku, so.
Yeah, I'm a prick. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it, people?
Email us again and be mad about it because we love your emails.
Yeah,
That's
be
what
mad.
you should do about
Your
it.
tears taste like fine wine to me. Here we go. I'm reading it now.
Cool. There you go. Yeah, I caved immediately. All right, let's get into what we watched then. I have my letterbox pulled up, but I haven't figured out exactly where I need to start from. So I'm going to throw it to Andi first. Andi, what'd you get into this week?
Right, so I'm interested if you have heard of this. Giant God Warrior appears in Tokyo.
Not only have I heard about this, I just took another bite of oatmeal. I fucking love this short, Andi. I've watched it multiple times.
I would have been surprised if you guys had not known about this. A short film from 2012, which is a weirdly enough a live action prequel and spin-off to Hayao Miyazaki's Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, which is not necessary to
Nope.
to watch and enjoy this short film, a live action short where giant kaiju-like monsters destroy Tokyo. I think it's like 10 minutes or so. I just finally took the time to watch it this week. I had it on my list for quite a bit, but it came up on my radar recently again, because as I explained, I think on the last episode, when I watched the first two movies in the 1990s Gamera trilogy, that I'm currently looking into a lot of kaiju stuff and monsters and stuff like this.
I need to catch up on these episodes.
Yeah.
I have that box set and I haven't watched them yet, so I need to go back.
Yeah,
and
Dave and I found out that you did an episode on the first one, the year that I was gone in 2019. And yeah, I watched the first two last weekend as a double feature, and I have yet to watch the third one. But anyway, the director of this short of Giant God Warrior appears in Tokyo, Shinji Higuchi, was the special effects guy on those Gamera movies and the co-director on Shin Godzilla and the director on Shin Ultraman, and just one of Hideaki Anno's guys who worked on Evangelion and stuff like that. So looking into all the Gamera things and kaiju stuff in general, Shinji Higuchi came up on my radar again, and there it just formed another connection that okay, the guy who had worked on this on Gamera and on the Shin movies is also the guy who made that short that I've been meaning to watch for a while. So finally took
and
the
I want
time
to say,
watch it.
I could be wrong, but I think Hideaki Anno did the story or screenplay of that short too. Did he have something to do with it? I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, yes, he's credited for the screenplay. Yes.
Okay, I thought it was like a proto years prior Shin Godzilla sort of team up, and then obviously all the connections you mentioned too.
Yeah. Okay. So that one I watched and would recommend. And then just before the recording, we finished a documentary, and then I set up the for the recording. Have you heard of the documentary Jurassic Punk?
I have, and I just saw you log it on Letterboxd, and I was like, I bet I'll be talking about it today because I've wanted to watch it. Great poster too. Yeah,
great documentary. So this is a documentary about Steve Williams, who was the CGI special effects guy that basically started it all. So if you think that Dennis Muren was the guy who did the effects on Jurassic Park, well, he's credited as he was basically the leader of the ILM team, but the guy who actually did all this stuff, who was the first one to actually take a step into the direction of the dinosaurs actually being computer generated, was Steve Williams. He's from Canada. He worked at a computer firm in Canada, did things with computer graphics, was a pioneer in computer graphics, and ILM became aware of him and they hired him, and he made the creature in James Cameron's The Abyss. From there they went and made Terminator 2, and he and Mark Dippé were the two guys they were the two guys who made all this possible, who made the digital effects on The Abyss and Terminator 2. And then Jurassic Park came around, and for all the people involved, it was absolutely clear that Stan Winston would make his big animatronics for like close-ups and things. Phil Tippett would do stop-motion animation for the full-body dinosaurs, and then they would do some computer graphics for like if they had a herd. A shot of a herd of dinosaurs from far away, just tiny computer graphics. And Steve Williams was convinced he could do dinosaurs and they wouldn't need that stop motion, and they could do computer graphic dinosaurs. And everyone told him, no, we're not going to do that. We will do it as we plan, and basically told him to shut up. And he went ahead and in his own spare time made an animation of the T-Rex skeleton walking. And he knew that on a specific day, Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall would be in the ILM office. And he had told nobody that he did that. And then he made sure that when they came to the office, he had this animation just running on his monitor without telling Dennis Muren, without telling anyone. And Kathleen Kennedy passed by, saw that, and was interested. And from then on, everything changed. And Jurassic Park became the Jurassic Park that we now know. And computer graphics in movies had a starting point and took over everything. And Steve Williams never got the credit for it.
Like, and sorry to interrupt, but just to add on to your point, because Jurassic Park's one of my favorite movies of all time. It would probably be in my top 5 potentially. Like, I've never tried to do that, but it would maybe make the cut. Like, not only all of that, but effects that inexplicably, I'm talking the digital, like CG, that holds up today. Like, it is insane how good they are. Or just like visionary in a way that maybe similar. It's weird. I've encountered so few movies that have that the same way that Jurassic Park does. We see it in prosthetics all the time in older movies where we're like, oh yeah, prosthetics are pretty much timeless. But CG, we don't really have that. Like, when you see CG in old movies, you can tell it's old CG. Jurassic Park, though, dude, like, it makes me even more excited to watch this documentary, because I had no idea all of that stuff. That's so cool.
I think because they blurred the line so much with that movie, because there was still a heavy reliance on practical effects and animatronics in a lot of scenes, including like the raptor scenes. And the T-Rex in the rain with the upturned car, like that's obviously the most well-known one. But the fact that the CG was so, I'm not going to say perfect, but so fucking good that it holds up even today. When you then supplement that with close-up effects, with animatronics and puppetry and things like that, it just helps to really kind of like blur that line, and to in some cases I think what we remember as being the CG might actually be animatronics work or something else. Not taking away from it at all. There is something I'll say later which will take away from what Andy said, and I didn't mean for this, but it's just what I've watched this week. I can't help it. And I don't disagree with anything that Andy said, because I think Jurassic Park is without a doubt the moment where CG came of age and became the thing that you could really hang a movie on in a way that you couldn't beforehand. But yeah, I think that the CG for Jurassic Park still, I think, owes an awful lot to the practical effects work that was weaved in with it to make it feel like it had weight and presence, and you saw these actors coming face to face with real scales and texture, and it all just works so well as a whole.
What's the name of the documentary again, Andi? Is it Jurassic Punk?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And it's called that because Steve Williams was not he was not a company guy. He was not a corporate guy. He's quite the rebel. So he's this. If you see him, you would never think that's the guy who sits on a computer doing computer graphics. He's this biker guy, leather jacket, biker boots, beer, cigar, buff dude. But then, he was the guy that was capable of doing these animations, and he never got the credit for it. He was not mentioned when someone took Oscars home. And he let the world know that he wasn't quite satisfied with his situation. So he burned a lot of bridges. His life spiraled down in a way, while others played well with the corporations and had careers in special effects and computer graphics. Life got a bit tougher for him. I just found that it seems like only 10 months ago he was added with John Knoll on Reddit. I think all the posts by Steve Williams are deleted, but the answers from John Knoll are still there. So at some point he even tried to get rehired at ILM, and they said, well, you only talked shit about us. Why would we rehire you? So the documentary is really, really interesting and well made. And there's Phil Tippett is in it, Jamie from Mythbusters in it, because he's buddies with Steve Williams. Robert
I also
Patrick.
just looked up. looked up his Wikipedia page, and he's Harlan Williams' brother. Did you say that earlier and I missed it? Maybe you didn't.
I did not say that yet. That's something that they don't mention in the documentary. I only saw that afterwards on his Wikipedia, but there's one photograph that they show in the documentary. I think Harlan Williams was in that picture, but they never mention it in the documentary. No,
that's nuts. What a weird, like, crazy. A comedian who was in, probably best known for either his cameo role in Dumb and Dumber or the Disney film Rocket Man. If you have kids, he's the creator of Puppy Dog Pals, which is insane. And then his brother,
a certain generation knows him from Half Baked.
Oh yeah, Half Baked. Totally forgot about that. That's true too.
I've never seen Half Baked, to be honest, but for some reason that's the movie that comes to mind when I hear his name or when I see his face. I haven't even seen Dumb and Dumber.
I've always liked him too. He's funny, but like so wild that he's the brother of this guy, of Steve Williams. Anyway, what a crazy family.
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend
I see this.
that documentary. You should really watch it. Yeah, and that's it from me this week.
Alrighty, Dave, what you got this week?
Yeah, so I said that I was going to talk about something, and I was going to maybe disagree with Andy slightly. Well, not Andy so much as I think this all dovetails really nicely. I don't think there's any disagreeal here. It's just different aspects of the same conversation.
Okay.
YouTube decided that they were going to make a lot of movies free to watch with ads in the last few weeks. And I love me some Star Trek. And it turns out that all of the OG Star Trek movies immediately got put on the list for, well, let's make this free to watch with ads. And it turns out, even more so than that it's the director's cut of Star Trek the Motion Picture that they've made available as, for the first Star Trek movie, which is the version that was put together last year, I think, by the guys at Inglorious Treksperts. New CG, new scenes were added. They redid some of the cuts, and there was like musical interludes that were put in at the beginning of the film and whatnot. It is definitely the best way to watch that first movie. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And then I spent the rest of the week watching the rest of them. So the reason I'm bringing them up is because a company which is famously linked with Star Wars in Industrial Light and Magic, also were responsible for the special effects on several, not all, but several of the Star Trek films down the years. And when ILM wasn't involved, there was certainly a team from Lucasfilm working on them. And again, I say all of this to get to the point that Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, is the first movie to have a fully CG section of a film. I can't remember the exact wording they use, but essentially, here it is. The first fully computer-generated sequence for a feature film. So they made history with the Genesis Effect video, which most people will be familiar with, even if they're not huge Star Trek fans. So the video that explains how the Genesis device works and how it brings life to a dead moon. That was developed in-house by a team at Lucasfilm, which would later become Pixar, which is, of course, a sister company to Industrial Light and Magic. So bearing in mind that the Wrath of Khan, I think, was 1982, 1983. I can't remember for sure. I'm just Googling it. We're talking about a movie that was
82.
So we're talking about a movie that was like 10 years removed at least from Jurassic Park, and was doing things with CG, like really pushing what CG could be done, what could be done with CG, and how CG could be implemented in the filmmaking medium. Now, no one is going to argue that it looks photorealistic or that it holds a candle to the achievements of Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park is absolutely where the blue touch paper was lit, and CG kind of just became omnipresent in movie making, even in movies where it wasn't really needed. Rambo, I'm looking at you. There was definitely a Rambo movie with CG blood that didn't need to be there. But this movie also, I think, deserves its flowers for being the first movie to have a fully CG sequence. Now, of course, there's young Sherlock Holmes that can lay claim to the first movie to have CG used in it. Whether or not that is true or not, I don't know, but that's always the thing that it gets brought up as. The stained glass man effect that was in that movie, if you guys remember it. I don't know if you're actually familiar with Young Sherlock Holmes, either of you.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I think it's. I don't know if it's the first CG use. I think it's the first CG character.
Okay. Yeah. I always
Because
get
it's
these
1985,
things mixed up.
so that's after Wrath of Khan.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So
This
it
is
would be the first CG
Chris
character.
Columbus, right? Did this movie?
I think so.
I want to say. I'm making sure I'm thinking of the right.
Barry
movie.
Levinson
was
directed it. Chris Columbus
okay.
wrote it. Yeah, Chris
Oh,
Columbus
Okay.
wrote the
Okay.
script.
Yep.
So yeah, it is the one I'm thinking of. I just mixed it up. Cool.
Yeah. These
I think I
things
have it on
movie.
DVD somewhere.
These things live in my head, and sometimes I forget the exact wording of what it is and why it's important and for what reason. But I do remember several times people have brought up Sherlock Holmes, and I think you're right, Andy. It's probably the first CG character.
You should watch it. It feels less like a Sherlock Holmes movie and more like an Indiana Jones movie.
It does.
Ooh, hell yeah.
It's great.
I mean, I already like Sherlock Holmes anyway, so that just sounds like a perfect combo.
Kind of feels
yeah,
like-
I have a DVD of it, I think, so I'll track it down.
Feature-length version of the opening of like the third indie movie.
Last Crusade.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I've been watching all those movies, all of the OG ones, so 1 through 6, and controversial opinion, my favorite is actually Star Trek 6. I
don't know which one is that.
that is the Undiscovered Country, the one where Kirk and Spock are not Kirk and Spock. Kirk and McCoy are framed for the murder of Chancellor Gorkon during the Klingon peace talks, and end up having to be rescued. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she played Samantha in Sex and the City.
Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall,
Big
she
Trouble in
plays
Little China. Yeah.
she plays a Vulcan character in that was originally supposed to be Robin Curtis's character returned for a third movie, but decisions were made that what this character would end up doing in the sixth movie would not fit with what we'd seen of this character from previous episodes. So they
also weirdly written and directed by Nicholas Meyer, a name I recognized and clicked on, and he wrote the 7% Solution, which is a novel where Sherlock Holmes meets. I'm pretty sure it's like fucking Freud. Yeah, it's Freud. Because I lettered the comic book adaptation of the novel. So just weird how there's all these Sherlock Holmes connections to this too. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Also, I think Nicholas Meyer may have done... He definitely did Wrath of Khan. I'm wondering if he did any of the further movies down the line. But anyway, Star Trek 6 for my money. Go on.
Yeah,
sorry.
it says he did 2 of them. It was Wrath of Khan, yeah.
Yeah. So for my money, I would say that 6 is my favourite because it's got more political intrigue. It feels more Deep Space Nine than it does Next Generation or original series. And the older that I've gotten, the more I've appreciated Deep Space Nine for the slightly darker, more political storytelling than the kind of boys' own adventure, alien of the week. We're in uncharted parts of space kind of stuff that you see from the series that focus on ships rather than space stations. So yeah, that was major part of my week this week. What I also did do, though, was I started watching Gen V again because Season 2 dropped a while ago and I wanted to get started on that. And I watched the first episode and very good, but haven't watched any more since. I don't think that is a comment on how good the thing is. I think it's just down to me just not being very committal to stuff at the moment. I just can't seem to commit to watching anything. I watched Peacemaker, I've mentioned that previous weeks, and really enjoyed that. But that kind of was the end of my ability to commit to anything for more than 6 to 8 episodes.
I'm kind of in the same place you are with that, man. Once Peacemaker was done, I had Gen V lined up. I also canceled every streaming service I had except for Shudder and Dropout. So
Yeah.
I still have access through other people's accounts and stuff if I want to, but yeah, it kind of felt I've been on the same boat on Gen V. I loved season 1, same as you. I want to see season 2, but just haven't found it in me yet to click into that.
We'll get round to it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things.
Ebbs
I think
and
I'm going to
flows.
I'll watch the odd episode here and there, and eventually what's going to happen, as always happens, is something will happen in one episode that absolutely gets its hooks into me, and after that I will just be, oh yeah, no, we're in,
Binge time.
we're locked in again, everyone. One thing that I found interesting was how they dealt with the death of one of the actors from season 1.
I just read about this yesterday, and it sounded pretty cool. It sounded very similar to how they did T'Challa in the second Black Panther movie, where it was like, which I kind of think that should be the way we do stuff like this in the future. Like, especially if it's a situation where the actor was, you know, really loved and the character was loved. Like if it was, you know, some horrible person that quit or got canceled or whatever, maybe not. But in situations like this, because it doesn't feel disrespectful necessarily to write the person out of the show or to have them die. But when it is someone that everyone loved both on and off screen, it does feel kind of like, well, we had to do something, so he died. I don't know what they did in Gen V, but I know at least with the second Black Panther movie, it was like, let's make this a part of the story. This person did die, but in a way that impacted all of the characters. And I don't know. I think it's such a cool way of still being able to honor the person through the fiction without it feeling as like, well, we have this loose end now. Because at least in season 1, like he's a big part of the cast. Like he's not a minor character. I mean, he's one of the core group. Yeah. So
yeah. It's so for those who aren't aware, Chance Perdomo played character in Gen V. I can't remember the character's name, but he died in a motorcycle accident before filming of the second season, literally on his way to start filming for the second season.
Sucks.
And so what they've chosen to do in the show is to basically start the season with the characters that were incarcerated kind of being pulled back out of whatever incarceration they're in and returned to the school, but he's not one of the ones that's been returned. And they basically say, like, they already know what's happened, that he's died, but nothing really else is said about him other than he died while he was incarcerated. And so a lot of the first episode that I watched dealt with the repercussions of that, not just for the main characters, but also for his father, who finds out about it, and that hits him really hard. And yeah, I think it's probably the best way that they could deal with it in the circumstances. And it certainly explains why it took longer for the second season to come out. I was completely unaware that he had died until just before I was about to start watching Gen V. And I typed in Gen V just to go to the Wikipedia and get a recap of what happened at the very end of the season 1, because I couldn't quite remember how the main character, the blood bender, for want of a better expression, how she was out and about. And I remembered that I think she was in a blink and you miss it moment in was there a season of The Boys after Gen V? I can't remember.
There was. I think you're right. I think she and the blonde girl showed up in one episode.
So like I know that there was something, but I couldn't remember exactly what happened. So I was going to do that, and the first thing that came up when I typed in Gen V was how they deal with the so and so not being there, and I was like, oh, so I got sidetracked, clicked on that, completely forgot to remind myself how everything had ended in the first season, and was immediately knocked sideways by the news. I'm sure I heard about it before, and maybe I just had forgotten it completely, just put it out of my mind for whatever reason. But yeah, they've dealt with it as best as they could, I think. And I'm with you. I think that if you're going to, some will want to recast, others will want to write characters out. And probably the best way of doing it, as long as you consult with that actor's loved ones to make sure that you're not going to really upset them by doing something in a show, is to do what they do here and what they did in Black Panther. But yeah, it's a horrible situation. I think they did the best that they could, but it definitely hangs over that first episode in a way that I think is really unavoidable. So they've done the best that they could with it, all things considered. I'll get back into it. I think it's just a matter of just waiting for something to hook me, like I said. But that is basically it. As usual, I've got a massive list of things that I want to watch that I found out are available to me thanks to Now TV. So I found out The Penguin is available for me, so I'm going to watch that.
Big fan of that show.
Oh, do you know the reason why I want to watch it? Is because I saw a YouTube video where someone said the theme tune from Peacemaker Season 2 goes with anything. And it was a scene from Penguin where I think it's the girl that ends up becoming Huntress. She's got Penguin tied up, and then like a car crashes and she goes and opens the boot and it's like a body of someone or other. And the way that they edited that together with the Peacemaker music is just, I'm like, I have to watch this show.
Foxy Shazam song.
So fucking good.
It is.
I did not realize that Foxy Shazam's lead singer was a man until I saw them in the final scenes of that show.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
on the boat.
Holy shit, what a voice.
Yeah. I had heard of that band before, but I never listened to them. And it was when we were in Myrtle Beach earlier this year on vacation. It was when James Gunn, I think it was at a convention or something, like he announced the song was going to be the theme song. So I started listening to it then. And yeah, like had heard it probably 30 times by the time the show came out, just because it's such a. And then it's crazy how over the course of that season it feels more sad, like the intro theme song. I won't spoil anything, obviously, but the tone of it. Yeah. Anyway, great song.
It's I genuinely I saw when Gunn released that, and he was like, "Here's the opening for season 2" before anything else had been played, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as season 1.
It's a big shift from the hair metal-y season 1 song for
but
sure.
You know what? Like everyone else was saying, "Oh man, this is growing on me so much," and I was like, "No, it won't. It won't grow on me." It fucking well did. Love that song now. I'm also going to be watching Revival at some point soon. I thought that this was going to be a TV version of a Stephen King book. How wrong was I? Apparently, the basic plot is that people come back to life, including people that have been murdered. And that is the basis for a cop show. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I love this concept.
I don't know how far they take it, because it is an adaptation, but it's a comic. I don't know how far they take it, but in the comic, there's some cool looking creature ghost things too.
Oh, nice.
I won't totally explain what they are. Mike Norton, I believe, did the art on that book. And yeah,
I hope they
cool
go
stuff.
proper like ghostly apparition-y shit. Like I need something horror related that I can talk about on this show. And then the other thing that I've added to my list, and this is mainly because I thought it was something to do with Stephen King again, and I should know by now that I would have heard about it if it was going to happen. There's a show called The Red King, which it's giving me vibes of The Wicker Man and that Jude Law show that I was talking about ages ago that had like 3 episodes and was also very Wicker Man coded. It's a 6-episode miniseries about a police sergeant who is sent to an island community which basically has a lot of very weird pagan-like activity going on. And someone goes missing and may or may not die, and it's about the investigation into that, but also about much more than that. So again, kind of looking forward to getting into that, hoping it's going to be something that gets its hooks into me quickly, because as I've said, at the moment I'm kind of struggling to watch multiples of anything, which that might be a good thing. Maybe it's about time that I indulge in some decompressed viewing of TV rather than binging everything as we've been kind of coded into believing we should do for the last few years. Anyway, fuck all horror, but at least something that I could kind of link to what Andy was talking about earlier. So there we go. But yeah, that's everything. David.
Okay. This would actually be pretty quick. I didn't get into a whole lot of too much in the past couple of weeks. Been working a lot and reading a lot, and haven't watched a ton of stuff. But still, I'm almost done. I'm like 50 pages, maybe 60 pages away from the end of The Descent, the Jeff Long book I've brought up a few times. A couple caveats by the end of stuff. We'll see how the very, very end of it wraps up. But if nothing else, one of the most impressive like feats of world building I've ever seen in a novel, where he spans so much, not so much time, although there is some big time jumps, but just so much of the book is just about the vast amount of history and space within our planet that we didn't know about ever existing. So you're getting all of this stuff throughout the book that just opens up more questions, but not in a way where it's not in a bad way where you're just like, well, this is just even more confusing, but in a way where you're like, I want to know even more about, well, what is this thing? Why does this guy have an accent? And he's clearly lived underground for hundreds of, like, all this kind of stuff where Jeff Long clearly just put a ton of focus and time into building all of this out. There's one scene, I maybe mentioned this on the last time I was on, one scene of sexual assault towards a child, which I understood why not why he did it, but I understood the point of the scene in the sense of how it interacted with the world that he was building with this underground world, everything else. But the decision to make it the way he did, I was like, this fucking sucks. You should have cut this out of the book. So that was one point against it for sure. And then there's been a couple other times where it's gotten a little too brutal, with not depictions of sexual violence, but just it going on that I don't know. It feels kind of its time, and in that ways I'm not excusing it necessarily, but if that stuff was out of it or handled maybe a little bit more delicately, I think it would be easier for me to make it a recommendation across the board. I still recommend it, as a horror book, but it would be one of those things where it'd be like, be aware that this stuff is going to come up a few times, but not throughout by any means. But yeah, just really excited to see too what his other books are like, like his non-horror books, his mountaineering books and stuff, because he seems very intelligent, super well, educated might be the wrong word I'm thinking about in terms of like climbing, mountaineering, all that kind of stuff. So those aspects of it help inform the overall horror aspect of the book. And been into it. Let's see what else. I went back to the theater and rewatched One Battle After Another. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars the second time. It's probably my favorite movie of the year. Very weird, but just about one of those movies that is just, there's so much to talk about, so much to enjoy, appreciate, from performances to writing to directing to cinematography, just top to bottom. Yeah, I loved it. I also saw Tron Eeries because
somebody
90% because of Nine Inch Nails. Yeah. I actually really liked it. I like the Tron movies. I'm a fan of the franchise, let's say, of the series. I've only seen Legacy once, and I would watch it again. But I remember, we talk about bad CG. I remember at the time that being so distracting was how bad bridges looked, and de-aging was not there yet.
Patrick H. Willems reminded me of that recently.
Yeah. So, but in a similar way that I kind of expected and hoped going into this one that I would enjoy it, I definitely did with Legacy. I liked the soundtrack, Daft Punk. I liked the world, the grid, all that stuff I think is really cool. I wondered about Leto. I thought he was good in this. It's a pretty, needs to be, and he delivers an understated performance. He's a piece of software, literally. So that's kind of discovering more about what he wants and kind of breaking free from that system. And we see it on the other side of things. So he's a Dillinger program, and we do see the grid and stuff like that, but we're mostly seeing the Dillinger side, and then him getting out and them trying to get him back and all that kind of stuff. The visuals were crazy, not just like CG and effects and stuff, but the cinematography there. I saw it with Sean and my son, and my kid was super excited about seeing it. So I was excited to go just, to see it with him. But multiple times I leaned over and looked at Sean and was just like, what the fuck? Because the camera work was so good. Like, why, what is going on here? And then I looked it up later and it's like, oh, it's David Fincher's director of photography. So like that tracked and made sense. It's like, okay, they got someone amazing on that side of it. The script's pretty weak, but also like you don't need, it's a bunch of video game computer software people running around in the real, like my bar was not high for that. And it exceeded it, I would say. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it overall. The soundtrack's amazing. I obviously was pretty much going to give that a 10 out of 10, probably. I'm a little bit too biased with Nine Inch Nails, but I thought it worked really well in the movie. Thought all of the meld of it. It's kind of like watching a great, like slightly trippy music video turned into a movie, which for some people sounds like Poison. I'd never want to see that. But for me, It's not as narratively free as Interstellar 5555. I think I got the numbers right. But it reminded me a lot of something like that, where I'm just like, all this shit looks cool, all of it sounds cool, like hell yeah, let's go. Like that's about all I needed. So yeah, it sucks that Disney probably is now going to completely obliterate this franchise because they're just too fucking dumb to make a Tron movie that doesn't cost way too much money. I think that's the problem.
Well, I was going to ask you a question.
Maybe 20 years from now they'll do it again.
Maybe I'll ask you a question regarding that if I could, because I loved Legacy, saw it at the cinema, bought the soundtrack. I still listen to the soundtrack to this day.
Oh, it's great.
The original movie was something I grew up with, so I would definitely put myself in the region of being like a Tron fan. Maybe not a absolute fanatical fan, but sure. I enjoy those first two movies very much. Do you think? I mean, this movie fell flat on its fucking ass, and I'm just wondering whether you think it was more down to the fact that, I mean, obviously the budget could have been lower, and you're going to always struggle to recoup that kind of budget on a movie that has, let's say, a relatively niche fan base. But did they hurt themselves by casting Morbius in this movie, or was it? Do you think it was more that they just couldn't market a movie like this to save their fucking lives, or is it a combination of things? I
think it's more the Morbius thing, but I think also, and I'm not defending Disney because who cares?
Who needs to? They can defend themselves. Fuck them.
Sure, I'm not worried about defending them, but I think between, like, he helped get the movie made for sure, based off of what I've read. He came in with his producing partner, and they were like, we want to do, like, we think this could be awesome, blah blah blah, and like, for a franchise like this, at least I think from Disney's perspective, they want and need something like that. It's someone to attach, themselves to sell the movie. Based off of what I've read and based off the timeline of all of that, all that stuff got moving before the backlash to Leto started happening. So I think it was a timing thing to where by the time it hit theaters, it was post Morbius, it was post Suicide Squad, it was post, Suicide Squad might be too old back, but that's just one I hate. But it hit the perception of him, because it sucks, dude. Like, I don't say it sucks. He's a good actor. He's been in movies. He's won Oscars. Like, he's been in movies where I feel like yeah, you nailed this. Like, he's also seems like a maniac and maybe a cult leader and all the stuff that you read about and hear and everything.
On a personal level, I really am not sure about that guy at all. And
yeah,
I wonder about people that, after all of that stuff coming to light, put him in their movies. I really do wonder if there's like any kind of thing that you could do that would just disqualify you from getting a role in a movie in Hollywood these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think his cachet has taken a massive hit, especially after this. Because, like, the movie made $107.1 million, according to Wikipedia, to have pulled up. But it costs between 180 and 220, maybe more, depending on some reports I've heard. So it's not like it made no money, but I think a big part of it, and I don't know if the budget, I could see it going into the effects and stuff, because it does look like top shelf, expensive. But I wouldn't be surprised if the actors, especially Leto, were a big part of the budget. Like, Austin and I were talking about this the other day, because he's in the same camp we are. Like, he's a big fan of the franchise and has the same sort of frustrations when they do some of the things that they do, et cetera. And that's one thing we were talking about is, like, look at something like what Trachtenberg did with Prey. Like, Amber Midthunder is amazing in that. No one had any clue who she was. I mean, not literally no one, but most people did, and I didn't. I'd never seen her in anything before. Like, you don't need... It doesn't need to be a cheap indie movie, but it doesn't need to be as expensive as it is. And I think bringing the budget way down, you can work with unknowns. I don't think anyone's going to see Tron only because Jeff Bridges has a scene in it or that Jared Leto is the pull. I think people like Tron because of the grid, because of the light cycles, because of the vibe, like the effects, the world, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know. Obviously, the internal stuff, based off of what I've read, it sounds like the timing kind of sucked for them, where it was like between where they started, when they started, and then it releasing. I think, most people, anytime I saw a trailer come out or an article get posted, all the comments were the same, which is like, yeah, this is Leto, fuck this, I'm not watching it, kind of thing. And I get it. I mean, for me, it was like, I don't like him either, but also Nine Inch Nails, like, that was a big part for me.
Yeah.
But he's fine in it. To me, he does not hurt or detract from the movie even a little bit. He's kind of a moving piece of machinery that advances the plot. If there's any character stuff, there's a little bit with him, but more of it is with Greta Lee. More of it's with the kid who plays the new Dillinger. What's his name? Evan Peters. Gillian Anderson, unfortunately, isn't given a ton, but she's great in what she does. So he's not like the linchpin holding the movie together by any stretch. But I think not enough people even know that because they just skipped it entirely.
Yeah, this is something.
I get it.
This is something that I wondered, like when you were talking about the fact that like does it need like well-known actors in this kind of role? And I'm just thinking, like, everything that I know about this film and what you've just said about the film, it kind of sounds to me like it would almost work better if it was an unknown in that Jared Leto role, because he's meant to be just like a computer program that came from nowhere and is like a you know, he doesn't have to be anyone special. It's almost like, from what I can tell, it's like he's just a cog in the machine, but he's kind of freed from it, and well, you know, whatever. Anyway, I
bet all based off of everything you've said just in this conversation, I bet you'll really like the movie, because I was pretty much in the same spot and I came out of it like, I think it's a 3 out of 5 movie. I gave it a 3.5 because the extra half star was how much I liked the visuals, how much I liked the music. I had a really fun time watching it. And so that to me kind of just it met all of my expectations, in the same way that when I go see Predator Badlands in a couple weeks, I want to see a Predator fighting monsters and or robots. And if it meets that, great. If it exceeds it, even better. I think maybe Tron purists might have been upset with the stuff that they did and how they handled it. Like the legacy aspects of it with Sam and Cora escaping at the end, spoilers for Tron Legacy, it is touched on, but it's not a continuation of that storyline. So I can see how different people, depending on what they want out of the franchise, could be let down by it for sure. But for somebody like me, and it sounds like similar to you, you know, we love the world, we love the visuals, we love all the stuff that is going on, and it has all of those things. So
I have to say, most of the marketing that I've seen for it hasn't really made me super excited. And I don't know how much of that is because I'm aware of the fact that at least a portion of the marketing was done via AI. So, you know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know what marketing in particular, but like there's
don't
a lot
ruin this for me, Dave. Let me have this. Don't make AI be another thing that kills.
It's fine. Don't worry. You've already seen it. It's good. But I don't know. Nothing about it has screamed out to me. Having said that, like, it's a Disney property, so as soon as it ends up on Disney Plus, of course I'll watch it. But I've not felt that draw to the cinema that I felt for and it's because Legacy had Jeff Bridges returning to a role, and you know, it had a lot of stuff about it that I immediately was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that they. I
mean, it was a Legacy sequel, not the puns right there, but I mean, it was one of those Legacy sequels, and that you have. Yeah, the old character as an older version returning. You know, he has one scene in Tron Eeries. I thought it was a great scene. I loved the scene.
That's cool.
It's important to the plot in a small way. I won't spoil it or anything, but the cool thing about it is that when he meets Jeff Bridges, he's going into a version of the original Grid. So they do the 80s original first film Grid, but in, you know, better animation and stuff, graphics now, but they don't mess with like the frame rates or the speed. Like, it's all it looks so cool. I thought it looked awesome.
That sounds pretty cool. I wish they would have included some of that in the trailer, because that would have probably got me out of my off my arse and into the cinema seat to watch it.
I bet once you get around to it, you'll dig it. And in the meantime, the soundtrack, if anybody likes Nine Inch Nails or Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, like, it's
Unfortunately, like, Jared Leto has not really done anything for me for a long time. Not since he played. God, what was that 1980s movie about the AIDS epidemic that he was in?
Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, like
yeah. He's good in that. I think that's the one he won the Oscar for.
Yeah. But ever since then, it's just been kind of like, Morbius was fine. Like, you know, I didn't pay to see it, so I didn't have that baggage hanging over me. So I was like, it's serviceable. It's just, It's a kind of a shame that it got this whole "it's morbing time" thing going on with it, because it almost became a meme of itself just for that.
It's a real weird thing when that happens, because it's a double-edged sword. Like it Snakes on a Plane was a similar thing. It reminded me a lot of that. Like you get an edge over what you would have gotten. But then the moment the studios try to embrace it, fans pick up on that, and it's like, no, you're not gonna take, like, we took this thing. So it's weird because it does help them, but it doesn't help them as much as they want it to help them. No, it is all kind of ironic too.
It doesn't help you to the point that you can put it back in cinemas just so nobody can see it again. Like that was the problem. Right. They thought, oh shit, we're onto something here. People are doing this meme all over the place. Let's put it back in theaters. Oh shit, people still don't want to watch the shitty movie.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, once you get to it, I bet you'll have fun with it.
I hope so.
Yeah, it was, if nothing else, it was cool. Like, Daniel doesn't have my son, he has no connection or baggage with any of this stuff. So for him, he was able to just watch it with, completely, undamaged, unironic eyes and just kind of enjoy it for what it was. And he's been listening to he likes listening to Nine Inch Nails and Atticus Ross, or Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross stuff. And he's gotten into Deftones lately. There's a Deftones song in one of the Dragon Ball Z movies that we watched, and so that's like one of his favorite bands now. So he, I think, was waiting when we went to see the movie for like the single that Nine Inch Nails put out for the movie and some of the songs to come in. So all of that for me was just icing on the cake to be able to kind of just have that fun experience with him. So
awesome.
I think that was pretty much it. The next thing I watched was Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge, the film that has the Deftones song in it. And then the only other thing I'll mention, I finally got around to watching K-pop Demon Hunters and really liked it. Was really into it. It's fun, man. I thought the music was great. I loved the animation. I was pleasantly surprised by how much action and monster and demon shit there was in it. Like, I know it's in the title, but I think I expected that stuff to be like, I don't know what I was expecting. I think maybe that it would be like, oh, that's something that they do, but their main role that we're seeing them in the movie is K-pop. Sure. Yeah. But there's a ton of like badass fight scenes, and I thought it was really good. Daniel had seen it a bunch of times and had wanted me to watch it, so I knew some of the songs just through kind of osmosis and them being out there in the world and being popular and stuff. But I dug it. I thought it was great. Loved all the mythology that they wove in, the tiger and the crow and all that stuff. I thought was really cool. I saw it was a weird situation where I saw some people on Letterboxd, and I agreed. Weird situation where I was like, it could have been a little longer. Like, it's not too short necessarily, but there's just so much in the movie that I'm like, you guys could have taken this. I think it's like 90 to 100 minutes, maybe. Like, you could have taken this up to 2 hours and been more of a like Mitchell and the Machine. I don't know how long that one is, but like that level of Spider-Verse kind of like, you guys put a lot of work into the characters and the world building and stuff. Like, I would have happily spent, another 20, 30 minutes kind of in all of that. It didn't feel rushed necessarily, but I think there's a lot there. So hopefully it's also just crazy. Like, we watched that trailer in Andi and Bianca's living room when I was in Germany. And this was back when it was like, oh yeah, there's a new animated Netflix movie coming out. Let's watch the trailer. And then it's what it is now, which is like the biggest hit they've ever had. They've re-released it in theaters multiple times as sing-alongs or sequels. Like, then there's the whole thing, which I won't even open up that can of worms because it'd be another tangent, but them Sony's or whoever it was that they bought it from, like all that stuff too. Like, but when we watched that trailer, I remember all of us kind of being like, oh yeah, that looks cool, but not thinking anything other than this will be another movie that gets, buried on Netflix or whatever, probably. So yeah, that whole thing's been crazy to see, but makes me excited because, it gives them opportunity to do more stuff in that world. And it sounds like they're working on a sequel. So I'll happily watch that. I thought it was a good time.
Sequel is absolutely guaranteed. I know Tyler and Felipe would agree with you that they felt that there was probably room for at least one more musical number for the boy band. And they
loved
just
all that stuff
didn't take it. Yeah. So, because I think it was Tyler, when we were reviewing it on Generation Animation, available on this feed for anyone that's interested. He was saying that I think the song's called Soda Pop. And he was kind of frustrated that we didn't get like a full blown song. Like, you get kind of like half a song in a sense.
That's the one where they're like out in that like courtyard sort of area.
Yeah.
They like do an impromptu. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. It just doesn't feel like a full performance, like it gets cut short. And I think there was some frustration there. But it's testament to a film when we did a review of it not that long ago. I can't think of a single negative thing that I brought up regarding the movie. There may have been some minor plot issues that I brought up, but generally speaking, like, that movie is just really good.
It's cool.
Like my overwhelming feeling from remembering what I said about it and how I felt watching it was, this is a really fun movie. I
was excited that Daniel. I was excited also, weird to say this, but like for the parenting opportunity that it provided, because he's had a couple of his friends like be like, oh, I don't want to watch that, it's for girls. And he's had to kind of, weather through. I mean, he's 9, so like kind of weather through that. But it reminds me so much of when I was a kid. I used to get made fun of for liking Powerpuff Girls. I thought that was such a cool cartoon. And I had a Powerpuff Girls T-shirt, and there was another adult missionary. May he fuck off forever. I hope he's listening. That made fun of me, like teased me about it, which I think about now, and I'm like, you're an adult, dude. Like, what a weird thing to do. Anyway, but. So yeah, I've made it not made it a point. I really genuinely liked the movie. But then I sent you guys the other day, the T Fury did a shirt that was like K-pop Demon Hunters in a Scott Pilgrim style. And I was like, guess what shirt I'm going to get, and guess what shirt I'm going to wear around his friends every fucking time I see them now. I'm excited, not to be an asshole, but just to kind of normalize that stuff. And I've told Daniel before, it's like, you can like whatever you like. There's no things for girls, things for boys. Like, there are things that some girls like more, vice versa. Like maybe if you look at, it seems like what's popular in your class, but that doesn't mean anything. Like you can be into whatever. You're going to meet girls who really like superhero movies and action movies, even though people say they're for boys, and that stuff's bullshit. So that's been kind of fun to navigate, and just like I said, weirdly cyclical, because that's what I thought about instantly. It was like I used to get shit for liking the Powerpuff Girls, which to me still seems crazy. Anyway, I think that's it for this week. I saw some other things that I enjoyed, but not even remotely horror, so I'll leave it there. So we can get into our film of the week, unless I'm forgetting anything. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm always holding my peace.
2025's VHS Halloween. Well done, Dave. Okay, so here's from Wikipedia. 2025 American found footage horror anthology film produced by Bloody Disgusting, the sequel to VHS Beyond. Calling that is weird. It's the 8th installment in the VHS franchise. So we have a handful of directors here, which I will list off. Brian M. Ferguson, Casper Kelly, Micheline Pitt Norman, R.H. Norman, Alex Ross Perry, Paco Plaza, and Anna Zlokovic. I hope that's how you say it. Much like the prior film in the franchise, VHS Beyond, these have a kind of more specific genre or focus, whereas in the past with a lot of the VHS movies, some of them, they kind of have gone on and off of this, where it would be like maybe there's a theme of like, they're all horror, but maybe there's a like VHS Viral, one of the worst in the series, had a thing where there was like, viral connected things, whether it's infections or whatever else. And it was kind of like a loose theme that they hung around. The past one, the one before VHS Halloween, was all science fiction horror. And then this one that we're getting ready to talk about, obviously all based around, themed around Halloween. So we have a frame narrative, as most of the VHS films do, where we open as a prologue and then cut back in between the segments to this framing sort of device, framing narrative. That one for this is Diet Phantasma, which is about a soda that they're product testing. And then we have Cucci Cucci Coo, Ut Supra Sic Infra, which I think is As Above So Below in Latin, Fun Size, Kid Print, and Home Haunt, as we intercut with the soda stuff. So I don't know. I'm trying to remember. We've never done a VHS episode, I don't think. I'm trying to think what we did for other anthologies. Like, I guess just we go through segment by segment. Is that how you guys want to do this?
Yeah.
Or do you want to kind of talk about everything? Like, probably something we should have figured out before we recorded. But
segment by segment would probably make most sense, and then we could wrap it up by talking about the overarching
okay,
Phantasma
let's do it.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll leave Phantasma for the end. So the first one up, Coochie Coochie Coo. This is the one by Anna Zlokovic, about two high schoolers who are going out for one last time trick-or-treating before they're going off to college. And there is a particularly creepy-looking house that lures them in. And we then find out, where the missing kids have gone to. And, there's this mother character, mommy character that is maybe hunting them down. This was, from what I remember, and I'm double checking, by far my least favorite. Let's hear what you guys thought. I hate to start it off on a bad note. Andi, what'd you think of this one?
I liked this one. I thought it was a good start, apart from the framing narrative. I thought it was a good start to the anthology. I thought it had some very creepy moments inside the house when the monster or mommy or whoever just appears in the background, lurking around the corner and things like that. Yeah. And so I felt it was a good creepy short with a Halloween theme. Definitely fit the theme of the anthology. I know nothing about the filmmakers. There's in the whole anthology, there's one director that I have seen a movie of. So not even a name that I recognize, but going through the list, I recognize, okay, I have seen that movie. So I have seen something that you made before this anthology. All the others, I have no idea who they are and what they made. So can't really speak to the filmmaker's work here. But the short I absolutely enjoyed. It's definitely not my least favorite. Okay. But I have an assumption from seeing a few reviews on Letterboxd that it seems like the standout for some people is the one that I like the least. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
How it fares with us here. So.
Dave, what about you? What was your take on this one?
I thought this was a really strong start, to the point that by the time we get to the end of the overall film, I was kind of thinking, I kind of wish that this was the kind of the last one up, finish on a strong note. I thought that the general idea of it was very creepy. I'm not a huge fan of jump scares, as everyone that listens to this show is aware of. However, I didn't feel like, even though it's a weird one, it feels like it sets itself up for jump scares. But then most of the scares are actually not really jump scares. What do I mean by that? Kind of like how when they find the front door again and then they turn around and the mummy character is kind of like peeking around the corner of the wall. It's not a jump scare to me. It's more of a, shit, she's found them kind of thing. I don't know. It's difficult to quantify what I consider to be a jump scare and what I consider not to be. But most of the big scares and creep out moments for me aren't cheap. They're well done, well thought out, and well delivered. The way that they reveal all of these other characters one by one, starting with the big baby, and then I think the girl in the kitchen who's strapped to a feeding tube, and there's the cheerleader girl with the weird face. And they've all got things going on with them, and you can see the similarity in their faces. They've got kind of like that pudgy baby face thing going on. So I think that the thing that I really enjoyed about this short above all else, and this is going to be a really weird thing to bring up, is when they're in the car and those kids bang on the window and then tell them that like mummy's going to find them. When they've run away and the window gets wound up, you guys probably noticed this. There's like a handprint on the window with like very long stretched out pointed fingers.
I don't know that I did.
Oh shit. Okay. And for me, I was like, oh, they've been marked. Like that's them. They're going to be in trouble. I don't know if that was intentional, if that was just one of the kids was wearing like these monster gloves and left an impression, and I don't know, but I noticed it and I was like, oh shit, we're already into it then. And yeah, just really creepy. That mother character is just really well done for me. Like the I don't know why she has 6 tits. I really don't. but I'm not against it. Like the fact that like you see these milk trails around the house, it's just really gross. Maybe some would say that pushes it over the top a little bit too much, but for me, I was just like, no, fuck it, embrace the weird. Like, and yeah, like the only problem I have with this one is that the girl at the very end of the episode is just like, okay, I'm just going to put the camera down and resign myself to my fate. Like
the first time in the whole, she puts the camera down. That was one of the I thought about Andi during this one in particular, where I was like, they have some people make a joke about this phenomena in one of the shorts too.
They do, yeah.
I thought about that right away, where it was just like, okay, my suspension of disbelief is being strained. They're not dropping this camera.
I've absolutely softened on that. I've just given up. So I know that nowadays, if I'm watching a found footage thing, I cannot be too bothered with the logic of why are you still wearing carrying that camera. But now with the glasses, that will definitely go into found footage movies. Everyone just wearing these glasses with cameras, and they. But by that they can go around these logic problems, and unless it of course gets just too crazy. But with this anthology, that's nothing that I was
kind of roll with it.
Yeah. There was one thing that the one thing that stretched my belief in this short. Probably, again, not the sort of thing that many other people would call out, but I wonder if either of you had this reaction. When they get to where the door was and it had shifted, and they say, oh, let's look back, let's review the footage, and they go to review the footage, and rather than the video cutting out and then cutting back in with them saying, shit, yeah, the door's moved, we see the tape rewinding. And I'm like, that's not how video cameras work. Yeah.
That was clunky to me too, because it would have been so much quicker, more believable, and also accurate if it would have just stopped for a second, and then they would have been like, holy shit, it wasn't there. Like, we knew it wasn't. Weirdly, the suspension of disbelief that was hard for me in that, and I know this is nitpicky, and this is not me criticizing the short at all. Weirdly for me, the thing there was like, I have done that on cameras hundreds of thousands, however many times in my life. No one ever stops it perfect. It's impossible to rewind and stop it there. But yeah, minor thing for sure.
Yeah.
I probably sounded more harsh on this at the beginning when I was like, my least favorite one by far. It was my least favorite one, but it's not bad by any means. There were absolutely parts of it that I liked. I think I've watched every VHS movie in this franchise. I think pretty much as they've come out, more or less. So for me, it's not necessarily a criteria, but a lot of times what I'm looking for in one of these shorts is something different, or something even if it's just one aspect of the short that sticks out, if it's an effect or if it's a moment or, an actor, whatever it is, it's like that's a win in some ways, because as with all anthology films, that's going to happen. You're going to have some that are okay. You're going to have maybe one that you really liked, and then maybe one or two that you thought sucked. So I didn't think this sucked by any means. There were other shorts in the franchise overall that did similar things as this that I thought did them better, or maybe I just liked better. So that, I think, was part of it, where it was just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, this is the radio silence one from the first or second VHS. Isn't exactly the same, but it's a similar sort of setup and premise, and I really liked that one. And so it might just be, these are probably in some ways going to be more challenging the more they make of them. But I think that they're also doing a smart move in bringing in each time people who, like, you look back at the first one and it was Simon Barrett, Adam Wingard, Ty West. Like, it was all these dudes now that, especially within the indie horror scene, are huge names. But back then, very much, less so, or not as much as they are now anyway. So, it was definitely one that I enjoyed fine, but it wasn't one of my favorites. I dug all the stuff you guys were talking about, though. I liked the creepy woman looking at them around the corners. I thought that was a nice touch.
I have seen none of the VHS movies, so I have nothing to compare this to.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my first VHS movie as well.
I think I've seen one segment, the cult segment that Gareth Evans and Timo, no one can pronounce his last name, did. I think that's in the second one.
Yep.
So I've seen that segment. I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that'll definitely play a part as we go through for all of us, I'm sure. All right. Next one. Paco Plaza, who I know of, and I'm assuming this is the one you had seen, Andi. He was the co-director of Rec. Is this the film
Exactly.
you'd seen? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So he also did, I think, Rec 2 and 3. Yes. And then, or he did the second one with Balaguero, the co-director on Rec, and then 3, which I'm a big fan of, even though it switches from found footage to normal midway through or toward the beginning. He also did Veronica. I think I talked about that when it came out. It was on Netflix. Really good supernatural horror movie. But yeah, this one follows some kids that are on like a Halloween party type deal. We're intercutting back and forth between what happened when these kids encountered this particular room in this mansion and how there's one survivor and the cops are trying to figure out how he survived what happened. He clearly didn't do it by himself. You know, is he lying? He doesn't really remember. He thinks it's his fault. So we have a lot of cross cutting in between the footage from the night that it happened with the like forensic police footage as they're going back to the location with him to sort of retrace his steps. So you get this thing of like, I thought this element of it was really cool where you're intercutting sometimes in between camera pans between the footage of what happened and then back to the present. So you're finding out slowly, but then also seeing what then happened to the kids as it happens in current time now with these people. So Andi, what'd you think about this one?
Again, one that I really liked. I liked the structure, this intercutting between past and present, the reveal of what happened that night, and the reveal of what is going to happen now in the present when they revisit the scene of it's not a crime, but the occurrence, the supernatural occurrence, and then the reveal and everything, the ending to it. I think it was very effective, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed this short. So to me, having these two strong ones back to back already made me feel positive about the anthology. So to me, a very, very strong start with these two shorts for the anthology.
Sweet. Yeah, I that's pretty much exactly how I felt. And then I'll throw it to you, Dave. I'll just do mine real quick. The same deal. I thought that the whole structure of it was really nice. It being in Madrid, being a Spanish filmmaker, they usually, I don't want to say they do it in every single one of them. They've done it before for sure. You mentioned the Gareth Evans one, where we have, foreign language filmmakers and shorts that are in other languages and other, locations, stuff like that. I think Nacho Vigalondo has one in the third one, which is actually one of my favorites. It's like a dude who's going back and forth between another dimension. This one to me was another one of those things where it was like, oh, sweet. We have a completely different vibe, flavor of just the entire type of horror. And then I really liked the effects in this one. I thought it was so cool, the stuff with the camera moving up and sticking to the ceiling. And then it's like some of the stuff I guessed, you can look at and be like, oh, I bet they probably did it this way with just simple sort of camera tricks and stuff to have people look like they're on the ceiling, and then him walking around pulling their eyeballs out, like all that shit I thought was really cool. So yeah, I dug this one too. What'd you think, Dave?
Far be it from me to tell the Spanish police how to do their job. But the dude literally says, I did it, at the very beginning of the short. And for most police forces in most parts of the world, that is enough for a conviction. Because once he said
let's
he's
go
done
home.
It, yeah. No, look, I mean, that part, I love my procedurals. I come from a family that have been either police or have worked for the police for couple of generations. So, I bucked that trend, as did my sister. I'm not saying we're criminals. I'm just saying we bucked the trend. We didn't work for the police.
Man, you could have accidentally given yourself a real badass reputation there.
Yeah.
Like my sister and I don't want to talk about it, but obviously we're not cops. Let people make their own assumptions.
I can't incriminate myself. So I did enjoy this a lot, actually, despite what I've just said. I think that's the one little failing of this short is the fact that they want to make him a a character that you as the audience want to have sympathy for at the very least. Him saying, I don't remember anything, but I must have done it. I'm guilty. I did it. It kind of engenders that feeling of, well, he's being honest at least, so I can get behind this guy. I hope he didn't do it. Maybe there's something that, can explain it away and he'll be let free. The interchanging between current day and like the previous night, the use of camera phone footage is brilliant. I do have a slight problem with the fact that they're investigating this crime because there's no camera phone footage of what actually happened past a certain point, and yet the camera phone footage that we see of the second occurrence is perfectly fine. That is a nitpick, and I will take that nitpick and just consign it to the back of my mind for the rest of the time because I really did enjoy it. I thought the cinematography was really cool, the use of light and shadow in the tunnels. The fact that they've used multiple camera phones, there's a real kind of like chaotic energy to it. It's a real party feeling among the party goers from the night before. And then you get to the actual occurrence and you know exactly what's going to happen. They don't hide it, the girl that's dressed up as a nun, who is probably my favourite interpretation of a nun in a horror movie that I've seen in recent years. She is looking up for most of that time before the camera phone cuts out. So someone is fucking floating. And you start piecing together what possibly has happened before it happens. And then he's forced to read out the words again, and the phone rings again. Again, why do you need to have the same fucking phone? A phone that probably was in evidence and needs to be kept in a bag for fingerprints and forensics. Just bring a fucking cardboard cutout. That can't ring, surely. But anyway, like it rings. Somebody answers it, even though he says not to, because people are fucking idiots in horror movies. What can I say? You don't get a good horror movie without stupid decisions being made. And then we get like what you guys have already talked about, which is like probably one of the most impressive scenes in this entire thing, which is everybody floating up, hitting the ceiling. The camera phone is recording all the time. You know from the framing that she's probably going to be the last person to get done. And you know what's coming. And what I really love about that particular moment when she gets her eyes pulled out is the second eye. When he goes for the second eye, he fumbles it.
Yeah.
and they kept the take, and I fucking love that. I think that's brilliant because even if you're paranormally controlled, if you're God damn it, I remember the word exorcised, but I can't remember the word possessed. Even if you're possessed, that doesn't make you a fucking surgeon. You can still fumble shit, especially when it's a slimy eyeball, which is basically just like a ball filled with liquid, which is covered in blood. It's going to be very slippy and whatnot. I thought it was a great scene and very effective and very squirmy. It made me feel very squirmy. And then like the final effect, where the phone falls to the floor and you're just waiting because you know what's coming next, because all of the victims had broken bones and you know it's coming, and you're just waiting for, forgive the pun, but you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then multiple shoes drop all at the same time, and the crunching noises, the sound design of those bones breaking, the way that the bodies, I don't know if they used dummies or real people and just sped the footage up or what they did, but the way that those bodies felt real and visceral, and they had real weight to them. And oh god, yeah, like it worked for me. This might be my favourite. I'm not entirely sure because I only watched it last night and I'm still thinking about them all. But yeah, I think this might be my favourite one.
Sweet. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really liked it as well. And just having stuff be like, I don't want to say simplistic, but just the sort of key elements, this room, like, and shooting it at different points, like they're there during the day, cutting to it at night, like it worked really well. I thought that it felt very balanced and yeah, good stuff. Okay. Next one up, Casper Kelly, directed and wrote this one, Fun Size. Casper Kelly, I mentioned him earlier. He's the dude behind the Too Many Cooks video. A lot of Adult Swim stuff. So he has a background in animation, comedy writing, but then has also developed a sort of reputation for and I've brought a bunch of these up in the past on the show before, but like weird alt comedy blended with dark horror, like off-putting kind of stuff. I mean, if you've seen the Too Many Cooks video, that's definitely, I think, probably the most well-known of the things he's done, since it went kind of viral when it came out. But a lot of this stuff, was released on Adult Swim in the middle of the night with zero context or explanation. Even if you like have a TV guide or the TV guide channel and you look it up, it'll just be a blank block. Like Adult Swim's very intentional about kind of, keeping the mystique of these things. So he's done a handful of those, co-created the show Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, which is another sort of like a little bit of horror vibe mixed in. So this is definitely a bigger, like very intentional kind of horror thing. But I mention all of his past stuff because the weird comedy off balance kind of thing is present in this one as well. We've got some, again, adult trick-or-treaters that are on the hunt for candy. Two of them are engaged. Well, it's two couples, and one of the couples is recently engaged. You can tell through conversations between the two girls that she probably just said yes because she felt bad, not because she wants to be with them, and maybe even was going to break up with them. I also watched this on like Monday or Tuesday this week, so I might be forgetting some of the details, but they get to a bowl of candy. There's a sign that says take one or one piece only, whatever. They take two, and they all get pulled into the bowl of candy. From there, we're in an alternate dimension where this character named Fun Size, this like dude in a candy like themed costume, is running around. They're being systematically killed, turned into candy. If I had to guess, this is the one, Andi, was your least favorite, but I don't know that for sure. Let's start with you. What did you think of Fun Size?
Ding, 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 ding. But now it makes sense. As I said, I knew no one of these people involved in the anthology, and now it makes sense that some people that I follow on Letterboxd pointed this one episode out. Even the people that I didn't like the anthology that much, they pointed out the Fun Size episode. Yeah, I was actually actively annoyed by this episode. I felt like for one, the shift in tone from the first two episodes and the framing story to this one just pulled me out of it. And then this was one of these stories, films, movies, whatever, where I just wanted everyone to die immediately so that we could be over. Yeah. That male fiance, who calls his fiance, don't run away, fiance. And it didn't feel funny to me. It was just annoying. I just wanted this short to end so that I could watch another one, and I was very much hoping that this wasn't the direction that the rest of the anthology would go in, because I enjoyed the start so much. But yeah, this one I actively disliked, and this is the one that I would not recommend. But sure, other people, I'm sure this was a lot of fun for other people.
What'd you think, Dave?
There is a massive inconsistency in the lore of this particular episode. And it stems from chocolate cocks.
What an amazing sentence. I mean, very British. It stems from chocolate cocks.
Everybody knows that at the stem of a chocolate cock are some chocolate balls. No. My kind of like takeaway, my nitpicky takeaway from this was that like the episode starts with, it looks like a penis. That's fine. He bites into it after doing the usual, I'm blowing a penis because I'm in some... and it's basically just chocolate shell with like white fondant on the inside, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it tastes sweet. It's like caramel or something. And but then at the end of the episode, we get the chocolate covered finger with a ring on it, and it's literally a finger with chocolate on it. And I'm like, okay, so are these body parts being transformed into real candy, or are they chocolate covered body parts? Because he did not act like he'd just eaten a chocolate covered penis when he bit the tip off of that penis. Like, there's an inconsistency there, and I know that you don't want to, pun very much intended, blow your load by revealing everything at the very beginning of an episode, but there has to be some consistency along the way. I thought that the tone was a little bit too comedic after having two shorts that were so earnest. I thought maybe this is where I'm getting into the idea of having the first one be the last one. I wonder if maybe you start with the funny one and then you try to kind of like move towards the more serious ones. Like if you started with this one and then you had the Ghost House one, Doctor whatever his fucking name was, and then you can keep moving along into the more serious stuff. But you know, I don't make movies for a living and I don't put together anthologies for a living. So those that do obviously know better than I do. So, you know, that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, I thought that the tone was strange. I didn't actively hate it like Andy did, but I feel like it was very needlessly over the top and very cartoonish. And while I appreciated moments like murderous Bertie Bassett getting his hand cut off and just like chocolate candy balls flying out of it, and then the hand growing back. I loved that. I could see exactly how they pulled it off, but I didn't mind. For every moment like that, you've got a moment where you've got some douchebag running around saying fiance, fiance, which I also picked up on and absolutely fucking hated. But I think that was the point. It was they were trying to make this guy look like a needy bitch and justify her reaction in the air vent where she says, I do, and then very purposely waits and then says not. And there was almost a joy there where she was like, I can finally get this. I don't have to break up with him. I can just let him die almost, which
I've absolutely unfortunately met people like that dude before. So to me, it felt very intentional of like this guy. I mean, he calls her trad wife at one point. Like this dude fucking sucks.
He feels like he's one red pill away from going full on.
Exactly that. He's like the bad Redditor starting to turn into a men's rights activist kind of path. What are you going to say, Andi?
I haven't met people, I mean, that I've seen people on their phones that there was this one guy when we went to Forbidden Door in London, and there was these two Germans sitting in front of us, and the one guy had his wife in his phone as my wife.
Fucking hell.
I've seen people that don't put the name of their spouse in their phone, but like a nickname or a darling, something like that, which I find annoying as hell.
It's annoying, but it's harmless, right?
But my wife.
Yeah, that's.
Are there other wives in his phone? And that guy in the short reminded me of a person like that. I hope that guy doesn't call his wife my wife in real life.
If he does, he'd better use the Borat voice.
I was going to say,
and I'm just not that guy that I don't call my wife by like cutesy names. She has a name. She is a person, and I know that people do that in real life. But the way that character was portrayed in the short was so over the top that how could she ever be even friends with such a person, let alone engaged to that person? He was the way that he was portrayed was just so unbelievable that it as I said annoyed me and did not I don't know I was not invested in any of the characters. I was not in her camp that I felt like you better get rid of that guy. It was more like why are you even in any way?
I want all of you to die.
why don't you have any relationship with that guy?
The moment that he said
the friends suck too. Honestly, they all are kind of like
The moment that they were on the doorstep and being told pretty much exactly the same as in the first skit, aren't you too old for trick-or-treating?
So much so that I was like, is this the same old dude? I couldn't remember. I didn't rewind it, but I was like, is this guy going to be in every segment?
That would have been cool if it was, actually. That would have been cool. But then he said this line, and I immediately was like, oh, no. He said, I asked my best friend to marry me and she said yes. I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit. Oh, dude. Man, I wish she'd just friend zoned you. Like, that would have been so much less painful.
Us millennials would call it cringe, I believe. It's very just the dude is the epitome of that at all times. We have a pretty perfect spread here for Casper Kelly reaction with Andi on one end, me on the other, Dave somewhere in the middle. Now, as I mentioned before all of this, I 100% knew what I was going into with this one because I already knew who Casper Kelly was. I really like the Too Many Cooks short. I've always interacted with his stuff in a similar way that I started off with Josh Simmons, where I was like, I get it, this is stupid though, and then would kind of keep coming back to it and be like, I don't know, there's kind of something here that I like about it. I've wondered in the past if what a full length would be like from him if I could maintain and click into it for that duration, because it feels like maybe no. But I've definitely come over the years to appreciate his like style and really kind of like, his creative mind. That all being said, I think if I wasn't clicked in, I would have had a much different reaction to this particular short. So that's why it wasn't because I was like, oh, Andi's not going to like this because I think it's great or anything like that. It was more that I was just like, if there's anyone in here or any one segment in this anthology that I think would be divisive like this, it's probably this one because tonally it's very odd. And like you guys were saying, it's a big shift in tone from the other ones. They do we're kind of saving the Phantasma one for the end, but they do, before we then go into the next one, which is probably the darkest one of the film. The Phantasma one is also maybe my favorite interstitial, and it's the one where the kid opens up the can and explodes like instantly. And the way that they film it, it's like you don't see it happen. But it was like I noticed that to where it's like, okay, this is all of them have a dark humor in the Phantasma ones, but this one in particular, it was like you could tell that they were like, put this one after the Casper Kelly short because it's in that same kind of over the top. I mean, there's the Wikipedia even says, here's how it describes it. Just if you're interested by this sentence, then you'll probably like this segment. Fun Size sends Austin to a machine where he is chopped up. His body parts are coated in caramel and chocolate, then turned into more of the strange candy bars. Haley has her face blown off with gumballs. So, like, if that's funny to you, you'll probably be into it, but it is goofy for sure.
I was going to mention the fact that I genuinely love that particular moment when I was going to use the phrase when she gets her face sandblasted off by gumballs. And then she takes herself over to the machine, lays down and lets it kill her, which
I'm done.
Man, like that was another thing I wasn't too happy about, was the fact that she gave up so completely so quickly.
But I think that made me laugh, though, in a similar way that when they're looking for the key, she's just like, oh, this is one of his balls. There's like it's absolutely, it's not quite as absurdist as Adult Swim stuff, but it's in that camp, like Tim and Eric, like all that kind of, like the humor is very much that speed. And going off and I'm not putting this rubric for every short, by any means, but this was definitely one where part of it also for me where it was like, oh, there's never been a short like this in the franchise. There's never been one that has this particular flavor. Also, I didn't even mean to use that adjective to make this point, but like taking the angle of candy and then building the short around that kind of, I thought was really fun. But I also absolutely get why people would not, if you don't click into this, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like he's such a singular weird style that it's not going to click for everybody, and not even, I shouldn't say that word, that makes it sound like people don't get it. It's there's stuff he's made that I don't like. It's not like I'm a huge fan of him. He just is a weird different dude.
I think if this short was a part of some other shorts that were a little more comedic based, or, I would have taken to it in a slightly different way. Like, I can appreciate it for what it is in its own right, but as part of a larger whole, I feel like it's a bit of a sore thumb. It just sticks out a little too much from the rest.
Sure, I totally get that.
And like if this like was like, the reason Too Many Cooks works is because it is taken completely out of context, and it starts as, cutesy. I mean, I'm teaching you guys to suck eggs here by explaining why it works, but maybe some listeners won't know what this is.
Yeah, no, for sure. It starts off as like a parody of 90s sitcoms, and then
it gets more and more
changes.
disturbing. Yeah. And this, like, it's got a decent amount of humor that's introduced fairly quickly, but I don't know. I think if you either make this slightly longer and make it very clear from the get-go that this is a more comedic, light-hearted... I say light-hearted. It's not light-hearted when you get your face blown off with gumballs. But like, if it's a more comedic take on a horror short, then maybe it gets more mileage out of me at that time. But again, I think it's good in its own right. It's just that it doesn't hang well together with the rest of the shorts that are on offer in this particular one. So I don't know.
I also do wonder what you guys are talking about, the placement of it. I think maybe could have been something that they like. Honestly, I see what they did in putting this one before the next one, but there's part of me that wonders if it would have been better after Kid Print, one that is by far, I think, the most like dark, serious, grounded one of the bunch. And then going into something like this to sort of like rebalance before the end of the movie, which is the last short, is also kind of more goofy in a way. I mean, we'll get to that one obviously, but I can see why they did it before the serious one, but I almost wonder if it would have worked better flipped, if you would have had something to kind of come out of that one into something goofy, as opposed, but I don't know. It's interesting. I think all of these movies could be reshuffled in a way that, would work differently but I think it's part of it too. It makes it interesting. Okay. Next one, Kid Print, written and directed by Alex Ross Perry. This is a filmmaker I knew of, but have never seen anything he's done. He did a movie called Her Smell with Elizabeth Moss. I think he's much more in the like indie drama film world, not the horror world. I don't know everything that he's done. But based off of my limited knowledge of him, definitely seems like more of that sort of stuff. He was also a writer on Christopher Robin. I didn't know that. One of three, the Disney one with Obi-Wan
Ewan
Kenobi.
McGregor. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
I want to see it still. I've heard it's good. But then also like co-directed the Ghost concert movie, the band Ghost. So like he's clearly dabbled and done a bunch of different things, and it's a huge in terms of like indie filmmaking blind spot for me. I haven't seen any of his stuff, so this was a brand new sort of watch. I feel like knowing that, you can feel that in this segment. This one has a much deeper sort of kind of lore and world building and sort of atmosphere than the other ones do. And I had various reactions to it, but Andi, kick us off. What did you think of Kid Print?
You already said that this is the darkest of the bunch. I would even go as far as to call it mean in a way, but I really liked it.
I would agree.
It was very well done, but it also made me very uncomfortable because it felt so real and mean and didn't have a happy ending and went graphic with the violence as the others do as well, but gumballs to the face still don't feel that violent as what we see in Kid Print. And I thought it was really good, but also tough to watch, tough to swallow. And I get why you proposed putting Fun Size after Kid Print as a palate cleanser. The shift in tone would be even more harsh than where Fun Size is placed in the anthology. So, but yeah, I get your idea. I would understand if people were put off by Kid Print, because it is
Me too.
A tough one. But I thought it was really good. So if you're into like horror that feels real and makes you uncomfortable, I think Kid Print is a good one for that.
Dave, what were your thoughts?
Was I the only one that thought this was going to go a really weird sci-fi route?
maybe.
So,
I didn't think
Probably.
my feeling at the beginning, especially like when he has that conversation with the mother, and she's like, "Can we get it done like today before she goes trick or treating?" I was like,
shit. Okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Before I realized what the videos were, there was part of me that was like, "Is this going to be introducing some concept?" Okay, I'm with you on that.
Are we making like androids or clones of these kids
Right,
to replace
copies of
them if
them.
they die
Yeah.
while trick or treating? Is this some sort of weird alternate universe that we've dropped
Yeah.
into? And then it got really fucking dark. And I did like it. The only question I had, and it's always the fucking case with me, I'll always pick on something. There's always a nit to be picked. And my nit on this particular episode is, if we as an audience are watching this this tape that exonerates the guy, how the fuck is he not exonerated?
Right. I mean, I think I assumed that I'm trying to remember if I assumed that the dude had the tape, the guy who was like, we were seeing one of his tapes that he had gotten basically back and didn't release to the public.
Maybe,
but also
yeah.
this one, maybe and more than any of the other ones, felt like the found footage aspect was not ignored, but like this one felt very much more like the guy wanted to make the movie he wanted to make and then did it in a found footage style, but wasn't worried about like, that particular aspect.
Yeah.
What this anthology does not have, and I think that is the case for the first ones, is a framing device that puts you, the viewer, into the situation and gives you a reason for why you are seeing these movies. There's no one that finds these tapes and now we're watching this tape.
The first one has that for sure. It's the Simon Barrett Wingard part is these dudes are breaking into a house, I think, and they find a bunch of tapes and the guy is putting different tapes in. And then there's a story that's happening in the interstitials. But yeah, with the rest of them, I think they kind of just shifted to like, oh, it's another short that we chopped up into 5 pieces or whatever.
Yeah, because some of
I think
these...
you don't. I think this is something that you just have to accept, that this is not someone is presenting to you a tape that is known to the public.
Right.
So this is just someone shot a video, and now we're watching it because we watch horror movies.
That's fine. I think part of the problem with it as well, and again, this is as someone that's not watched a VHS before, I was aware that because I was looking at all the other ones that were on Shudder to see what I wanted to do next, and I do actually want to go back and watch VHS Beyond this week, the sci-fi one that you mentioned, because I did see that pop up and it looked like an interesting idea, and I love my sci-fi. So, but yeah, like I was kind of okay. So it feels to me like this is being presented as one videotape where it was originally part of this company that's making the soft drink, and then other videos have been taped over the top of it. But then, like, there's at least one story which is told in like the early 2000s when it wouldn't have been VHS anymore; it would have been DVD. And I was kind of like,
I think this is definitely
weird.
one of those ones where where the quote unquote framing device is just another short that they chopped up.
Yeah, which is a shame because I
sure.
like the idea of like a story being taped over, so you only get little snippets of it here and there in between different things.
The sci-fi one, I remember, I could be wrong, I liked how they did that one, which felt like what you're describing. It was like a documentary about alien abductions or something, and so it's cutting to that like in between the shorts, and it feels like something was taped over. Even though they don't explicitly say like, and now we're going to cut to it, but it has that vibe to it.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, to your point, like this one is like the stuff with the soda says internal use. We're seeing stuff that wasn't like released or meant to be seen. And then even in this kid print one, by the end of it, like you see news footage, stuff where it's just like, what? Like you're just starting to get other sources of information. And the vibe I got was that Alex Ross Perry was just like, I want to make the short I want to make.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I do like the fact that he finds a way to make it make sense why the guy's taping everything all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't, and this is where the mean-spirited thing comes in. The fact that he's attacked by his employee, beaten up to the point that he can't get up because he's had like hammers to the knees and whatnot. And apparently both of the kids that are there that have been kidnapped take this as being, well, they're obviously working together, so let's stab the fuck out of this one on the floor. It just kind of felt very mean indeed. And then obviously they get up and walk out, and being dumb kids, they try to use the front door, and they both get murdered. But yeah, I think that it's very, very mean-spirited, more so than any of the other stories on offer here, but also very well done and a lot more grounded than all of the other stories that we see. And maybe that's part of it as well, is that this isn't a supernatural horror story. This is very much serial killer, it could happen in the town next door to you kind of thing.
Yep.
And
the original... Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Sorry. Those have always been the stories that have had the most impact to the largest groups of people, because relatable horror is the horror that you can imagine happening in your own in your own town.
Yeah, and like home invasion stuff always resonates with people, because that feeling of your security. But yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, the first movie, the Ty West one, did a sort of similar thing to this. Like, I think David Bruckner was the opening one, and that's the one they ended up making into a full-length movie later. It's the one with the succubus, and it's very supernatural. It's very... like, I mean, she literally has wings and flies in it at the end. Like, there's crazy stuff. And then the Ty West one is like this couple on a road trip, and there's a murder serial killer sort of angle to it. Like, I don't remember all the exact details, but there's nothing supernatural. It is just the very kind of grounded. So yeah, they definitely have done these at times, and I totally agree with both of you guys. It was a weird watch, and because watching it, I'm just like, all right, this dude, out of all the ones I've seen, is probably the most experienced of the, like, you can just tell watching it. Like, he's not even knowing his filmography or what he's made, seems to have a handle on wanting to do more with the concept and within his short. Whereas most of them usually have a pretty simple setup, and then they do the payoff. And this one, it's like, oh, we're introducing this very specific time, and these kids have been abducted. Here's a guy who seems like just a genuinely good dude who's trying to help these families and these kids. And the kid print idea is this sort of like, they can then use these videos to ID and help search for the kids if they get kidnapped. Like, that's how bad this thing has gotten. The kid angle, it's not even because I'm a parent. That, I think, is one of the harder parts of it, because all of the violence is towards children, like whether on screen or off. Like, it's, for the most part, it's all like the worst stuff that you see is towards Tim. But then that's the hardest part, or that's a hard part too, because he's an innocent good guy. So I was definitely positive on this one in terms of I think that it's really well done, really well made and written and everything. In terms of how much I liked it, that was lower, I think, both because of the subject matter being as kind of dark as it is. I don't know, stories, shorts, whatever, horror stuff that has endings where the ending is, and then the bad guy wins the end. Like, it's totally fine. I don't have a thing where I'm like, I hate those kinds of stories. I do think I wouldn't call it lazy. It's more, the older I get, the more boring it is to me. Just because it's like, I've seen that a million times. Like, you can make it dark in a different way other than it just being evil wins the end. Sometimes that might be a last minute twist, and that can be part of how you do it, whatever. But it's kind of, in some ways, even when it's effective, it's kind of draining to where you're just like, okay, like, all these kids died. He's going to kill more kids the end. Like, it feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity to me to do something more interesting, but also, it's clearly very intentional. So I'm not saying, I don't want to apply the criticism of like, well, he should have gone this route. For me personally, subjectively speaking, I think I get more interested when they, subvert that a little bit, or maybe make it a little bit less. But I don't know. That might also just be a byproduct of watching tons of horror all the time and seeing a lot of the same sort of patterns and tropes or whatever. But I thought really well made, really well done. It's definitely effective and creepy. Having the different shots of the killer talking to the camera, and like, it all works. It's just a fucking bummer of a short. So yeah, you don't necessarily come out of it being like, hell yeah, what's the next one? But the next one is, unless you guys have any other thoughts on that one, I don't want to just run us off.
No, I'm good.
Cool. Okay. Is Home Haunt, written and directed by Micheline Pitt Norman and R.H. Norman. This one is, I have less of, I wonder if I was going in and out of sleep, because I remember this one for sure, but I remember the ending more than I remember the setup of it. They're setting up a haunted house. This dude with his wife and son, we cut to when his son is older, doesn't want to be part of it. They get this record that ends up basically summoning, supernatural events, demons, whatever you want to call it. But then the angle that they take is basically using haunted house sort of decorations and concepts and having them become real. So a fucking witch shows up on a broom, like all these sorts of things come to life. And to me, from what I remember, it felt more like Fun Size, but not with the goofy, that particular specific goofy streak, but it still had that kind of vibe of like, this is really fun and over the top and violent, but it's also meant to be kind of goofy. At least that was my interpretation. But what did you guys think? Andi, what'd you think of this one overall?
Yeah, that's the one that I did like when it comes to the lighter ones, the more comedic ones, and then there's Rick Baker in it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That immediately made me like the short when I realized when you see the line of people waiting to go into the haunted house, and I said, that's Rick Baker. And it is Rick Baker.
And the exact opposite cameo of Mick Garris in Tales of Halloween, where he does talk and is great. He has like a funny line. His delivery is really good. Like,
yeah, I was about to say he's an actual character. It's not just a cameo that he's standing in line. No, he's a character in the piece. He has dialogue. He has an arc.
In defense of Mick Garris, I think Mick knows where his strengths are, and so his cameos are silent for a reason.
Oh, he does, but Andi's. I will be on my deathbed and I will laugh thinking about Andi being like, Mick Garris is the worst actor in this film, and he has no lines.
And half his face is covered, and he's still the worst actor in that scene.
Yeah. So good.
So yeah, I enjoyed this one, and I think this, as you proposed to maybe put Fun Size after Kid Print, I think this works as a palate cleanser for Kid Print, as a fun
for sure.
Halloween comedy with just a haunted house going crazy in creative ways, and a comedy to it, and I thought this was very enjoyable.
What'd you think, Dave?
I completely agree. Yeah. The whole idea of like a haunted record is a great idea. I like the idea that they were playing with of kind of kids and their relationships with their parents as they get older, and like they go through that stage of, oh my God, this isn't cool, and I'm so embarrassed by you all. And I think maybe they took it like a step too far, where they were like making it out that like he was like a big joke in his school and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, that's the story they want to tell, so whatever. But yeah, I was just impressed with, like, this is just a family that put together a haunted house every year, and Jesus Christ, look at this thing. Like, I don't know if the curse made it look better than it would otherwise look, but Jesus Christ, how could Rick Baker be such a downer on this dude when he's done such a great job? It works really well for me. The sheer amount of just gratuitous violence for violence sake, I'm a big fan of. Whenever you have children in peril and you don't pull your punches with them, like that witch biting the fingers off the little girl is shit.
But also, like, it's so strange with that kind of stuff. This is kind of what I was alluding to earlier with the Phantasma one, where a kid opens the can and explodes immediately. Like, it's so interesting to me that you can have the exact same sort of concept, which is violence towards children, be executed so differently. Kid Print is just dark and oppressive, and you're seeing kids cry on camera, and like you're just emotionally tapped. But then you see a witch like picking kids up and dropping them on the ground and stuff, and it's pretty funny. It's still brutal, but the tone of it just changes the entire punchline, I guess, so to speak.
I think it's because we're just so used to seeing stories in the news about kids being killed in places where, and by people that you would think that they would be safe either in or from.
Right.
And it just hits a little bit close to the bone. So when you see like a bright green woman on a broom impaling a little boy on the end of it and then flying him up in the air and feasting on his guts while flying along, that's not something that you're just peppered with in the news on a weekly basis. So you can remove yourself from it and you can appreciate it for the ridiculous nature in which it was intended. But it's still fucking brutal. Like, it's still basically a little kid getting her fingers bitten off or or just like melting in a fucking boiling pot, or that woman getting her head cut clean in half with the axe. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, the special effects in this are great, like the practical ones especially. There's a little bit of a ropey CG moment right at the end where the haunted house itself comes alive and turns into a giant the two hands, but I think they're quite clever in that they don't over animate it.
And they cut away after it starts happening.
Yeah. But yeah, like the general concept of it, the idea that the haunted house comes alive and that ultimately this his name's Keith, I think, isn't it? That's what his son calls him.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know if he's like meant to be his stepdad and he's like doing the typical
I thought that at first too,
thing.
But I think he was just being an asshole
just
teenager.
being a real arse. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, not fair enough. He's a dick. But yeah, like
I also liked the moment. I think I'm remembering this where the mom goes crazy and kills.
She's fucking
she
great.
unleashes her rage. Yeah, because she's very much like a sort of stay-at-home mom kind of vibe before that.
She reminded me a lot of Danielle Panabaker. And it's not her, but there's something about her face very familiar. Just maybe that's what Danielle Panabaker is going to look like in 10 to 20 years. And damn, like she's going to be a hottie as well. 'Cause that right there was respectfully the MILF of the entire movie. No respect in that whatsoever. I apologize. Respectfully,
the MILF
I would
award
fuck you.
goes to
Best in MILF. Technically, that would be me. Oh dear, we've gone way off the deep end here.
Stop,
I'm going to
stop.
I'm going to stop. Yeah, fucking stop me. It's a very good. It's a very good short. I still think that it would have been better, in my humble opinion, if they had finished off with with Kuchiku. But I don't know, there is something for the comedy finishing off. It's such a serious selection of shorts. Even if you include this one with like the level of violence that happens in it, that I feel like you're probably better off finishing off with a short that reflects the overall tone of the piece rather than something that is more light-hearted. But then we do have a final piece of the overarching short that kind of finishes it.
Yeah,
let's
talk about that. What did you guys think of Diet Phantasma overall? Dave, just keep it going. You go first.
Okay. I liked it. I was ready, locked and loaded and ready to come in talking about how whoever made this doesn't understand the penal system of the United Kingdom, because I thought they were testing on prisoners. And then they started testing on kids and I was like, okay, that's fine. They're not testing prisoners. For some reason, all their test subjects are wearing jumpsuits. I would ask questions if I was asked to change into a jumpsuit before testing a cola drink. But yeah, I liked it very much. I thought that it had this really cool air of there's an episode of Tales Beyond the Pale. It's a tape that's found that you're listening to, and it's about like meditation, and then you get dropouts where people are coming in saying, listen, if you're listening to this tape, it's not too late. We can save you, but you've got to do this and that. You've got to be really fucking careful. The guy on the tape is an alien. He's trying to force his way through into our dimension by using your mental abilities to rip a hole or something. I wish I could remember the name of the episode, but it gave me that kind of vibe where it was like it's set in like the 80s. I want to say it's got a really kind of grainy kind of look to it, thanks to the VHS tape. They have that thing at the bottom which is for internal use only, which immediately it's like, oh, this is some fucking Halloween free shit going on here, and they never make it clear exactly what they're trying to do until that final, not the final short, because that would literally be a 2-second advert for the drink itself, but the final short in the lab, so to speak, where you suddenly kind of get the idea, oh, this is about control, this is Silver Shamrock, but they're not trying to kill the kids, they're trying to control the fuckers. And I think it has something to say about corporations, but I'm not entirely sure what it's trying to say, other than consumerism is an awful thing. And I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know exactly what they're trying to say here, but I enjoyed the short overall. I thought it tied everything together really nicely. It sets everything off on the right foot and then continues to. The level of gore increases. I did enjoy the fact that it was like one experiment per short, and then suddenly he was like, nope, fuck it, 5. It took hours to clean that kid up. And the fact that all of the people that are doing the experimenting, they just don't care. Like, some of them are a little more shocked than others where it comes to the level of what's going on. But they're just like, no, we're just going to get this squeegee and clean off the observation window before the next lot come in. This is perfectly normal in our line of business. I did enjoy it. I thought it was a really effective way of tying everything together. And I was looking forward to finding out what was happening as it went along. Demonic possession via diet soft drinks. I would have never thought of it.
There was another one. I'm trying to remember which, I'm looking it up right now, VHS specifically, but Steven Kostansky, who Andy's brought up in the past episodes with Slayer. What's it called? Death Stalker, right? Yeah. He did one that VHS 94. There was a shorter segment he did in one of those, and that one that had a similar thing where it was like an infomercial, and it was for this, like, I think it goes wrong, and like a horrified studio audience is watching a guy's like hand get ripped apart and stuff. And it had that similar sort of vibe that this one has, of like really nailing that like era and the vibe and the graphics and the logos and all that kind of stuff, especially more so in the commercial thing at the end. Andi, what'd you think about Diet Phantasma?
Again, I really liked it. I thought it worked very well in the way that it was presented in these bits and pieces. David, you earlier said that didn't feel as much as a framing story for the other shorts, more like another short that they chopped up. But I think it wouldn't work as well if you would see it as one continuous story, because it's just too close to each other, I think, the different deaths. So I think it works with another short between each of these segments. And I enjoyed them just for their weirdness, just for the what's going to happen now? What's going to happen in this one? How will they die? Will someone survive? And I haven't seen Larry Cohen's The Stuff. I think at least Dave has, I believe.
I think Dave, you brought it up.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, but this felt to me what I think the stuff might be without having seen it, but just the little what I know of the stuff felt this might be in the same ballpark. So yeah, I was wondering when the movie was done if there would be a conclusion to this one, because there's this epilogue as a mid-credit sequence, so I wasn't entirely sure if we would get a conclusion, but it worked then at the end with seeing this TV commercial for the soda that somehow they were able to produce this thing and get it into the market. But yeah, I overall I must say, for me this anthology had a very high batting average, with only one short that I disliked, and all the others I did like, and I thought they were well balanced in between mean and comedic and everything in between.
Nice. Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. The first one I mentioned was my least favorite, but I didn't think it was bad by any stretch. So there are elements of it that I definitely liked. And I felt that way about the last couple, honestly. Whereas in a way that the first maybe 4 or 5 were definitely more of that, like, oh, this is a real low segment for me, and this is the highest one by far, and then these are okay. Like, that was usually the anthology thing. The past few of these, at least for me personally, and it's so subjective, but I felt pretty consistent. Like, even the ones that were my least favorites in there, I didn't think were bad. You know, it was more just like, oh, this one connected with me more than that one did or whatever else. But I would definitely love to do more of these on the show. I hadn't realized, or I guess I just hadn't remembered or whatever, that you guys hadn't watched any of them. So there's definitely a bunch of, all of them have at least one segment, if not a couple, that I think are really strong. Even the VHS Viral, the third one, I think is probably the worst one, my least favorite. And even there's an Aaron Moorhead or am I getting them wrong? Yeah, no. Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson short in there that I liked a lot.
No, that Cargill and Derrickson have one in 85, so I definitely would like to see that one. But yeah, for you, they're on Shudder. For me, I have to rent them, and they come out some when I don't know. They're not immediately available when they're available to you, and they're not on a streaming.
I also don't know if they're
them.
probably not all on Shudder either. I don't know, because Shudder took it over at a certain point, but it didn't start off that way. The first handful were not part of it. I think it was Brad Misko was part of, I think, maybe the producing, like, kind of start of all of it. I don't know if he's still as involved, but
I think his name is at least still in the credits. I don't know how actively he's involved.
Oh yeah, he's a producer. But yeah. So, and I guess since we're doing that, what did you think overall, Dave, of the anthology as a whole?
I think overall I definitely enjoyed it. There were definitely, as we've kind of covered on the episode, there were ones that were a lot stronger than others. I think probably Fun Size is the least favorite of mine, but again, like, this is one of these situations where it's like, you know, you say something is like the worst of a group. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it wasn't as good as the other ones were. So, I would definitely...
Fun Size is a real curveball, even for the series, too.
Tonally, it's definitely an outlier for this, and I can't speak on it in general, but you've seen them all, so you would know better. I enjoyed it. One thing I will say, and maybe this was just the time I was watching it last night, or my general stamina levels, but it kind of felt like it went long, which is...
That's something... sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No,
that's something that I wanted to add as well. I don't think this needs to be 2 hours. This could have cut one short, I think, and would have been maybe an easier watch. But then on the other hand, you don't necessarily have to watch this in one go. But yeah, I feel like an anthology movie doesn't necessarily have to be 2 hours.
No, but the weird thing was that when I started paying attention to the length of episodes, like, Fun Size didn't feel like it went that long at all. Maybe there were other ones that went way longer, but it didn't feel to me like any of the shorts went more than maybe 20 minutes.
I just looked it up because I was curious when you said that, what the other ones... The first one was 2 hours. Second one was 90 minutes. The third one was 1 hour and 20 minutes, so 80. Then we have 1 hour 43, hour 49, and then by the time 85 comes in, which would be the last 3, they're 1 hour 50 plus minutes, so about 2 hours is kind of what they've settled into.
So what you're saying is I should watch the second one because it's perfect.
Maybe. I'm not really saying anything other than just like I was curious what they all clocked in at, because I think that could definitely
my theory stands. 90 minutes, perfect movie. It did feel slightly long, but maybe that's just, now I think about it, the maths of it, if there's like 5 shorts, 4 or 5 shorts, I'm losing track. 5 plus the overall. So 5 times 20 minutes, you're already talking like 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I think it was 149 on the counter for me. So I might
Halloween, it's just short. It's just 5 minutes short of 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer.
So that doesn't leave an awful lot of time. So they would have had to cut one out to make it shorter. That's the weird thing. It felt like I was watching it for too long. That sounds needlessly negative, and I don't mean it that way. But It felt like it felt long, but there wasn't any fat that I could cut from anything that I was watching, and I wasn't not enjoying it. So
I think another element too, I've never watched one of these with more than a couple people. I think they all work totally fine. I've watched most of them by myself. So I think they all definitely work at home. But I've always, every time I watch one, there's always part of me that's like, man, I would love to watch this with a crowd. They're very sort of like what I think a great film festival would be, or like a night, maybe not a whole festival, but like a night would be, make someone remixing and being like, we're doing 5 shorts and it's from the franchise, whatever, building their own kind of thing. Cause all of them have, to some degree or another, a vibe of like, these are for horror fans and like people who love all this shit. And we're spotlighting lesser known filmmakers, but then also makeup guys and, guys, I don't mean that gendered, but, makeup teams and crews, special, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying anything other than I just think like that would also be really fun. I would like to go do that and watch it with a crowd of people. Yeah. Cause I think that probably plays a part too, and kind of the energy of them. And, but yeah,
it would definitely, I think it would definitely be fun if you had a group of people that had watched most of, if not all of the VHS films already.
Yeah.
And then, just take random episodes
Greatest
and just remix it. And it would almost be like, you could imagine there'd be the start of an episode and someone would like notice something that they recognize which one it is. And suddenly everyone's like, yeah,
Now that you say this, it makes me want to like do how I used to do like Ninja Night or whatever, like do a VHS night where I film the framing narrative and intercut it in between the shorts.
Nice.
Like not to make but like something where it's like, cause I just, Andi did an intro for one of our Ninja Nights that I have on YouTube somewhere. It's like, that's what I want, is like, in between, it cuts to Andi meditating in Germany and looking at old tapes before we do each new one.
A true international production.
I don't think we'll do double feature picks, right? It's a whole bunch of double features in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
another VHS movie.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad we all enjoyed it. It was fun watching this one for sure, and I definitely recommend. I think you guys do. People check it out, especially if any of these sounded fun or interesting. And this is a franchise I definitely like overall. I think that there's more hits than misses for sure, and especially being able to go back and watch them and see like track careers and stuff. We did that Wrong Turn reboot whatever movie a while back that I think we all liked to varying degrees, and that director, I think I mentioned on that episode, he did 2 shorts in I think 2 VHS films ago. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of him. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, these are amazing. Like, I really liked that style and everything. And then being able to then track these people as they do bigger stuff. And that whole element of it is pretty fun and cool too. Okay, cool. Any other big thoughts before we wrap up?
Oh, no.
All right. Listeners, let us know what you thought of VHS Halloween if you did in fact watch it. It's on Shudder, and I think you can rent it and whatever else in other places if you don't have access to Shudder as well. But if you have some thoughts or want to rank the segments and send them to us, feel free to do so. EerieInternational@gmail.com. Next week we have a movie. Yes, Andi?
Yeah, probably.
Are we allowed to announce it? I don't remember what it is.
We wanted to do Until Dawn if we all have access to it, and
that's right. I do. Okay, yeah. We won't say it, but we may have a guest. That's one of those things we're always careful to announce. That's the episode, right? I've been off for 2 weeks. I'm making sure. Okay. Yep. So we may have a special guest for that episode. And if that special guest is listening, that's not a threat or dependent on how you behave. It's just making sure that the scheduling lines up. Things could change. And if we need to postpone the episode, we'll do that. But we usually wait till we've recorded it to announce it. So yeah, Until Dawn's coming up next week if all goes according to plan. Stay safe out there, keep watching horror movies, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.